Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vedantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Ladita Shri Vishakhanvitam Tamahom Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhuve Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Prabhu.
Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we have to begin from 12.2. And 12.1, we have seen that how Arjuna is asking the question that which of the way of worshipping and among no is better, yoga with tamaha. So he has asked about that, and Krishna is now going to give a very open and a clear-cut answer over here. So we'll begin from the second verse of 12th chapter. Recite over here. Yes. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Mano Ye Ma Nityayukta Upasate Shraddhaya Paryopetas Te Me Yukta Tama Mataha.
Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. Perfect. In answer to Arjun's question, Krishna clearly says that he who concentrates upon his personal form and who worships him with faith and devotion is to be considered most perfect in yoga. For one, in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities because everything is done for Krishna. A pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or reads book about Krishna, or sometimes he cooks prasadam or goes to marketplace to purchase something for Krishna, or sometimes he washes the temple or the dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is in full samadhi.
Yeah, such actions in full samadhi. So Krishna is very clearly declaring that the devotees who are worshipping his personal form in various ways, either by cooking for them, going to market to purchase flour or sabji for them, grocery for them, chanting their names, hearing and reading book about them, about the Lord. He is one who is continuously busy. Not even a single moment passed. This is Prabhupada's, you know, special purport. Not a single moment passes. You know. So in something other activity apart from serving Krishna. Such a devotee, such action is in samadhi, and such a devotee is very dear to him. So over here he is very clearly answering it that Maya aveshya manoye. One who has fixed his mind on me and नित्य युक्त उपासते है. ऐसा नहीं कि कभी कभी उपासना करता है मेरे फॉर्म का. This continuously, always engaged doesn't mean that you will be always doing arti to the Lord 24 by 7, or you will be engaged in dressing the Lord. That is not going to happen. But cooking for them, purchasing for them, preaching for them, and for their pleasure, with the understanding the Lord has a form, and we want to please that form. We want to please Him. you know, Shraddhaya Pariopetas, with faith, the transcendental faith, he engages in the service of the Lord continuously, always. Nitya Yukta, Shraddhaya. So he is the Teme Yukta Tamamata. He is most perfect in yoga. This is my consider. This is what I consider. Not the impersonal, not the impersonist who are worshipping the, who worships the Brahman. And so among them, my devotees are the best because they are absorb their mind in me, in my Shyama Sundar form. So those who desire constantly to be united with me, Nitya Yukta, with faith which is beyond the gunas, you know, so faith which is beyond the gunas. This is very important. Paraya Shraddhaya. They, my Ananda Bhakta, are the best. That's what he says. Because, in concerning faith, there is one shloka, 11th canto, 25, 27. Yeah. That shloka very beautifully talks about. Yes. So that shloka, I'll show you. You can refer to it. Yeah. So he says over here, Satviki Adhyatmiki Shraddha Karma Shraddha tu Rajasi Tamasi Adharme Ya Shraddha Matsevayam tu Nirguna. The one who has Satviki Shraddha, what they do and what tamasic. Read it. Faith directed
Faith
towards what?
directed Faith directed towards spiritual life is in the mode of goodness. Faith rooted in fruity works is in the mode of passion. Faith residing in irreligious activities is in the mode of ignorance. But faith in my devotional service is purely transcendental.
Yes. So that's why he's saying faith beyond the gunas. The faith which is beyond the gunas is fixed in devotional service of the Lord. Faith in gunas, will be, in passion. He will be more towards, over here. Actually, over here, when Krishna is saying Shraddhaya Pariya Upetascha, in the verse, when he's saying that, if you can see that verse in a book, when Krishna is saying the Shraddhaya Pariyopetascha, so this Shraddha Pariya, that's why he said to you, is transcendental faith, is beyond the gunas faith. Because some people might have faith, you know, might have faith in, of passionate nature. They may be also worshipping the deity. They may be also worshipping the deity, but with passionate faith. Passionate faith means what? Faith which is no faith rooted in fruitive work. So that kind of faith, is not going to help. That is not yoga. Yoga with tamaha. And some people may be doing, might be faith residing in religious activity. In a mode of ignorance. That also not, and neither in goodness. So because in the goodness, the person may worship different demigods also. So over here is saying the transcendental faith, which makes him continuously situated Nikta Yukta Upasate, Shraddhaya, Parya Upanitascha. So Shraddhaya of Shraddha, which category? The category of transcendental category, beyond the gunas. So this Ananya Bhakti, here has been said. That's why I'm explaining this three gunas of faith in three gunas, because from this it should be inferred that that inferior to these Ananya Bhaktas are those having bhakti mixed with jnana or karma or other processes. But it is shown here in this particular verse that bhakti is better than jnana, and that among types of bhakti, Ananya Bhakti is the best. So Krishna is very clearly saying bhakti is better than jnana for sure. Any type of bhakti, one who is doing even mixed devotional service, any type of bhakti. Yeah, bhakti in modes also. Bhakti with shraddha, with good in goodness and passion in goodness. Bhakti can be done with those. So no, that is better than jnana. But no, Ananya Bhakti, among the types of bhakti, Ananya Bhakti is the best. So Krishna is answering in this that these devotees who worship me, my form, the 200 form or the son of the Devaki's form, the Swam Bhagavan form, with faith, very firm faith, transcendental faith, by hearing and other methods, and with a desire to have an eternal relationship with me, are considered to be most qualified. So they are Yukta Tara, Yuktama, and Yukta Tara, Yukta Tama. Somebody, so this category of devotees who are Ananya Bhaktas, have a transcendental faith, engaged in the worship of the Lord, they are Yukta Tama. The Lord has very clearly said, this is a personal form worshipper with the transcendental faith, one who's worshipping it, is the best, is far ahead than the any of the people who may be worshipping the impersonal Brahman. So, so uh, actually, infatuation of the with form is not a problem, which many these impersonalist people feel. Infatuation with a temperate form is a problem, but because they feel that we get infatuated by temporary form, you know, we're infatuated by the form, so let us reject all the forms. All the forms are temporary, and it's going to be bondage creating. That's not right. That's what we know. We know very proper says every time. One doctor is bad doesn't mean all the doctors are bad. Or over here too also has been said that one has to know the temporary forms are temporary because they are material. But Krishna's form is eternal because it's absolute. It is spiritual. So there is no limitation because they have understanding about limitations in the material world in terms of its form also. So they feel even the spiritual form of the Lord will also have some material, some limit. These are not to be right. These are not right. Rather than infatuation created by the association of the eternal form is purifying. And infatuation created with the material form is a problem. So they don't know that infatuation which is created by the material form can be only taken away when one is infatuated by the spiritual form. And that's how these people, impersonalists, Brahman people, their process ahead, it will be told. It is very, very tough. So Krishna is saying after this, he says the next verse, the third and the fourth is a combined verse, which he speaks over here. Which now he has very clearly declared that worshipper of my personal form is the best. And if he is worshipping with transcendental faith, he is a yuktatama, right? Now he says, ये तो अक्षरम अनिर्देश्यम अव्यक्तम पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गाम अचिन्तयं च कुतास्थं अचलं ध्रुवं सन्न्ये सन्निम्येन्द्रिये ग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धया ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहृते रतः. One of you
Yes.
read.
But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. Perfect. Those who do not directly worship the Supreme Godhead, Krishna, but who attempt to achieve the same goal by an indirect process, also ultimately achieve the same goal, Sri Krishna. After many births, the man of wisdom seeks refuge in me, knowing that Vasudeva is all. When a person comes to full knowledge after many births, he surrenders unto Lord Krishna. If one approaches the Godhead by the method mentioned in this verse, he has to control the senses, render service to everyone, and engage in the welfare of all beings. It is inferred that one has to approach Lord Krishna, otherwise, there is no perfect realization. Often, there is much penance involved before one fully surrenders unto him. In order to perceive the supersoul within the individual soul, one has to cease the sensual activities of seeing, hearing, tasting, working, etc. Then one comes to understand that the Supreme Soul is present everywhere. Realizing this, one envies no living entity. He sees no difference between man and animal because he sees soul only, not the outer covering. But for the common man, this method of impersonal realization is very difficult.
Yeah, so over here, Krishna is saying that. So he said about the 12.2 that how actually, sorry, how actually, anybody who is worshipping his form is far better. So over here he's saying, but what happens to those who worship the unmanifested? Those who fully worship the unmanifested, which lies over here. The word says, aksharam, anirdesham, avyaktam. Arey, Anirdeshyam, Prabhupada see over here it says about, indefinite, Aksharam, which is beyond the perception of senses. Avyaktam, unmanifested. It's so difficult to worship such a form. How will you worship such a form which is unmanifested, indefinite, which is beyond the senses? How you can worship it? How you can even, meditate on it? Sarvatra gam achintayam cha kutastham achalam dhruvam. No. So, is this form, and then he goes ahead. Pariprasati engaging in worshipping, such a which is all pervading, sarvatra gam achintayam, kutastham, unchanging, immovable, dhruvam, fixed, tanmaya, control. You have to control your senses and all those things. Oh, this is. So he says that finally, okay, they will achieve me. And at last they achieve me. At last they achieve me, but no, but the process is very difficult. First is this process is ultra difficult, because Prabhupada in a purport, last he is explaining that that person has to do what? He has to stop, seize the sensual activity of seeing also, hearing also, tasting also, working, etc. Then he can understand the supreme soul is present everywhere. Then he becomes nirvaira, no enemy, and he can see and see does not difference between animal and the man, and then he may be able to. So this is first is very difficult. So so over here in this verse it's been said those who are trying to attempt realization of their atma will also attain me, but with great suffering after a long time. They are inferior to the devotees. So this will be Krishna will be explaining in the three verses now. So those who first only worship their own Atma, Aksharam, own Atma means, over here, super soul, not Atma means the soul. So here with the so where own Atma means now Atma Shabda over here is for super soul. Undergoes a very great deal of suffering, you know. So here and it and this worshipper, the Aksharam, it's been said the super soul. It is impossible to define because anirdeshyam, avyaktam, sarvatargam, achintayam is not subject to logical analysis. And even the Shruti mantra says like that. Jnana swarupam eva jnatir swarupam. You know, this is, it's very difficult. To find the source of it and all those things. So, so it, so over here, the where the words very clearly also shows that even if they are going to attain B, but the process is very, very difficult. So the process of worship of this Atma is described by control, that you have to control your senses, withdraw them from the sense object, seeing the friend, the well-wisher enemy equally. And then you have to endeavor for the auspicious of all beings, engaging in devotion to me in the form of offering their action to me. After attaining realization of their own Atma, these persons also attain me in a form predominated by extreme majesty. There is no doubt about this. So finally, they will attain a form which is with extreme majesty. Extreme majesty means not the sweetness won't be there. There will be much of a majestic. So Krishna Chakra Thakur actually says over here that these people will also attain the Lord means what? They attain me means what? They attain me means the impersonal Brahman. And why he says me only, attains me, although they are told to attain impersonal Brahman with full majesty, because Brahman is not different from the Lord. Brahman is also the Lord only, but only it has only the feature of Sat and Chit, no Ananda over there. Right? No? So that's what has been said over here. So they attain me with great difficulty. The process is difficult. To meditate is difficult. So they attain me. I agree. Finally, they also to attain Brahman. Also, they have to put a devotion in me. That process is very difficult. And what they attain is a Brahman. That's what has been said over here. So Krishna is and ahead he's going to say he's going to explain more how the process of attaining me through this process is very, very difficult. Uh, so Krishna is very, very, clearly speaking over here to Arjun that see, better you are be a worshipper of my personal form, worship me with proper attention, with proper faith. That's best. Don't get into this impersonalist worship because it's very tough. Finally, what you attain is Brahman only. Nothing more than that. Okay, you attain me, but in a form of Brahman. That's what has been said. So, over here, then ahead he's going to speak more elaborates about how the worship of this impersonal Brahman is more difficult. अभी तक तो इतना ही बोला फोर्थ नंबर श्लोक में बोला कि you have to control your senses. Your senses should not be in contact with a sense object. You have to be nirvaira. You have to do all good to everyone, and you will be able to attain the self. So ahead he speaks more how it is going to see. Bhakti may appear to us to be as for tough, no doubt. Yeah, it's tough, but it's far easier than all other processes. Uh, Bhakti will appear as too tough because of uh, our samskars, our prejudices that we have from the past many lives. Surely it would be because the struggle against the mind and senses keeps on going. Mind and senses makes the sadhaka go haywire if they pay attention to it. If they are not keeping themselves transcendently situated in the service of the Lord continuously, mind and senses is going to create a havoc for them. So no, so yeah, that is why bhakti looks tough. Uh, but bhakti is far, far, far easier than any other way of attaining Krishna. And not just far, far easier, it makes you attain the highest aspect of the Supreme Personality of God, the Bhagavan. And in that, if you are in Lord Chaitanya's movement, it makes you enter into the most sweetest form of the Lord to worship Him, the Shyam Sundar. So that's what is being over here. Here has been said. Then now Krishna is going to say. He explains more how that process of impersonal attaining impersonal Brahman is very very tough. More he explains that. There's a very famous verse which comes. Do you have any questions in these two shlokas, three shlokas that we have done till now?
Prabhuji,
I
here
hope.
Krishna is Prabhuji, Krishna clearly saying in this particular chapter that my personal form is easier to worship, that will avoid highest perfection, and impersonal form is difficult to worship. So clear instruction is given, then how impersonal is speculate even after clear instruction?
Yeah, I'll come to that. I'll come to that. They will, they there are two kinds of Brahman worshippers. One who considers, one who, both of them consider the Lord to be impersonal only, but one of them they they use, no, they what they do, they think that yeah, Lord is saying over here that my personal worshipping is easy and better. So what they do, what they have consideration that Brahman takes the personal some form. So let us worship that form and attain Brahman. That's what Krishna is saying. That's how they come to the. So there are two kinds of Brahman worshippers. No, in some other verse, in probably in sixth or seventh verse only it come, or fifth only it will come right now. There are two types of Brahman worshipper. Vishnu Chakravarti, Baldev devotion, somebody will write over here.
When they say the
आप,
Lord says in another
आपका
verse,
आवाज
do
is your sound is breaking, Prabhu. Prabhu. Your sound is breaking.
Prabhuji, is it coming now?
हाँ.
Lord says in another chapter, Brahmo hi pratishtha aham. I am the source of Brahman. If some, then we
हाँ.
can refute them. Then how they speculate in that? Bhagavan clearly
Actually,
बोलते हैं Brahman मेरे से.
yeah. Actually, Prabhupada writes at one place, Prabhu, that uh, people actually, they, how they perceive. Prabhupada writes at one place that that these people actually they worship their faith is in because of their faith being in the mode of passion and at most of the goodness, their way of understanding these verses are very different. So Prabhupada says, yesterday we read, they're so much captivated by impersonalist concept that even they write the commentary on Bhagavad Gita where Krishna himself is standing with a form, says that in their commentary they write that Lord is impersonal. So much possessed by the by that because of the faith that they have developed. And why they have developed such faith? Because of association. So associating with such people, they have developed such a faith. So and Brahmanohi Pratishtaham and all these verses. So for them, that's why Prabhupada said they do word jugglery and they break their grammar and they do all those kind of things. So yeah, and then they will quote many other references from Shrutis and all, where because Shrutis don't write very very clearly, so they use those verses to prove it that how Brahmanohi Pratishtaham. By the way, one thing is to be very true. We should never have a, I'm just putting a side point. We should never have a yeah, curiosity to know what they speak about these forms. In the sense that in these verses, and then go and read and hear from them. Anybody who does that, till the point he has not reached the level of bhava or prem, suppose there's a lot of chance he may deviate. So no, that's why we have to be very careful also in that regard. Many times when we hear we see कितना clear है तब भी ये पागल लोग हैं क्या जाते हैं let them be we don't know We have been saved by our acharyas, by Srila Prabhupada, to be on right track. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
even also Damodar says to Bhagavan that if one is surrender
Oh,
worship, you can
sound,
surrender
sound,
to Lord.
sound, sound not clear. It's breaking.
Okay, okay, Guruji.
Oh, yeah, Satyanarayana. Bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in the very same context, actually, as first is the out of the, actually the same context and out of the wind also. True, really are there so many impersonalists exist in this material world, bro? Because I see only atheist and atheist, bro. First question, and second, if they exist, which I understood, ki after coming into the spiritual domain or people who want to practice, then maybe many of the aspects or many of the people who try to relate with Krishna and then they take it to maybe atheism. Is it so? When we deep dive into the spiritual context or in the bhakti path, and we see different organizations or different what we can say different ashrams or other stuffs, then people get diverted. So for in such context, we have to bifurcate and understand which path we have to choose. Is it correct understanding, Project?
Majority in India is impersonalist. You go and ask anybody who will even who's coming to temple, even to our temple, you ask them, भगवान निराकार है या साकार है? निराकार ही निकलने वाला है मुंह से, क्योंकि निराकार उनको लगता है, because that's why Prabhupada says ना, we have read, because they fear the form, because they have a form and they understand what's the problem with the form, there's a limitation of the form, and they understand God to be great, so he should not have form, because that form will put a limit on him. So in their logic, that's why by their logic we can only come to the understanding of this impersonalism. So majority India is impersonalist, and they say few percentage of the people are atheist. No, are atheist, and and the majority others who also worship, though who believe in the existence of God, majority are impersonalist and Mayavadi. They may come to temple, they may go to church, they may go to any church and mosque. Though they are impersonalist only to a large degree, because they uh, mosque though is impersonalism. You can't even inscribe the photo of any photo of Muhammad also. Yeah, in our value education contest booklet, we had one photo of Muhammad. We had to remove it. So the so only tower we have to present Makkah and Medina ka tower. That's what should understand, or Chand. So they are quite a good number in population. And same with the Christianity, Abrahamic, all Abrahamic religion, I mean, both of them, Islam and Christianity. They just hang the Jesus on the A, and they have a cross. They have hardly an understanding of the God being a person. So no, so that's how they they do it. People's mind is crazy, you know. So crazy why? Because why I'm saying crazy? Because they have a form. They say God is a father. Father has no form, but we have form. So no, it's just craziness. So sometimes people become very very crazy. They could act crazily. But I have to believe that majority are impersonalist. Is that okay, bro?
Yes, Gauri. The essence of Prabhupada repeating again and again is maybe to because we are what we are practicing is very rare, and as you mentioned now also, ki until and unless we reach the stage of prem or bhava, it is very easy to get dwindled into these philosophies because अगर उतना strong होता ही नहीं तो people why would have practiced at first place ना even
Yeah, right,
spiritual
right.
practices.
Who has given that Mayavad? Lord Shankar himself. You know. Then so many acharyas have to come to wash away. Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, then Bharkacharya पहले आया, then Lord Chaitanya. So it's not an easy thing. Okay. Even what he is quoting Kaushik is right, that has been said over there. So uh, actually, so there are many, many examples over there in our past where a lot of these acharyas, Madhvacharya especially, was very vehement. He just didn't use logic. He used all the ways to defeat them, whatever was required. So anyhow, so this is not so easy. Why are acharyas have so much effort? Now, maybe, people have no interest towards anyway in God much. They have more interest in money, more interest in science, more interest in sense gratification. So, they had not much, but whenever they look towards God, the conception of the God is impersonalist, majority. So we'll go ahead to Klesha, fifth number. क्लेशो अधिकरस् क्लेशो अधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्त आसक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्त हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहावद्भिरवाप्यते. Read.
For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make peak progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Purport: the group of transcendentalists who follow the path of inconceivable, unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord are called Jnana Yogis, and persons who are in full Krishna consciousness engaged in devotional service to the Lord are called Bhakti Yogis. Now, here the difference between Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is definitely expressed. The process of Jnana Yoga, although ultimately being one to the same goal, is very troublesome. Whereas the path of Bhakti Yoga, the process of being is direct service to Supreme Personality of Godhead, is easier and is natural for embodied soul. The individual soul is embodied since time immemorial. It is very difficult for him to simply theoretically understand that he is not the body. Therefore, the Bhakti Yogi accepts the deity of Krishna as worshipable because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind, which can thus be applied. Of course, worship of the Supreme Person of Godhead in his form within the temple is not idol worship. There is evidence in the Vedic literature that worship may be saguna or nirguna of the Supreme possessing or not possessing attributes. Worship of deity in the temple is saguna worship, for the Lord is presented by material qualities. But the form of Lord, though present represented by material qualities such as stone, wood, or oil paint, is not actually material. That is the absolute nature of the Supreme Lord. A crude example may be given here. We may find some mailboxes on the street, and if we post our letters in those boxes, they will naturally go to the destination without difficulty. But any old box or imitation which we may find somewhere, but which is not authorized by post office, will do not will not do the work. Similarly, God has an authorized representation in detail in the deity form, which is called Archa Vigraha. The Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of Supreme Lord. God will accept service through that form. The Lord is omnipotent, all powerful. Therefore, by his incarnation as Archa Vigraha, he can accept the services of devotee, thus to make it convenient for the man in conditioned life. So, for a devotee, there is no difficulty in approaching the Supreme immediately and directly. But for those who are following the impersonal way to spiritualization, the path is difficult. They have to understand the unmanifested representation of Supreme through such Vedic literatures as the Upanishads, and they have to learn the language, understand the non perceptual feelings, and realize all these processes. This is not very easy for common. A person in Krishna consciousness engaged in devotion service simply by the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, simply by offering regular obeisances unto deity, simply by hearing the glories of Lord, and simply by eating the remnants of foodstuffs offered to the Lord, realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very easily. There is no doubt that impersonalists are unnecessarily taking a troublesome path with the risk of not realizing the absolute truth at ultimate end. But the personalist, without any risk, trouble, or difficulty, approaches the Supreme Personality directly. A similar passage appears in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is stated there that if one ultimately has to surrender unto Supreme Personality of Godhead, the surrendering process is called bhakti, but instead takes the trouble to understand what is Brahman and what is non-Brahman, and spends his whole life in that way. The result is simply troublesome. Therefore, it is advised here that one should not take up this troublesome path of self-realization because there is uncertainty in the ultimate result. A living entity is eternally an individual soul, and if he wants to merge into spiritual whole, he may accomplish the realization of the eternal and knowledgeable aspects of his original nature. But the blissful portion is not realized. By grace of some devotee, such a transcendentalist, highly learned in the process of Jnana Yoga, may come to the point of Bhakti Yoga or devotional service. At that time, long practice in impersonalism also becomes a source of trouble because he cannot give up the idea. Therefore, an embodied soul is always in difficulty with the unmanifest, both at the time of practice and at the time of realization. Every living soul is partially independent, and one should know for certain that this unmanifested relation is against the nature of his blissful self. One should not take up this process. For every individual living entity, the process of Krishna consciousness, which entails full engagement in devotional service, is the best fit. If one wants to ignore the devotional service, there is danger of turning to atheism. Thus, the process of centering attention on the unmanifested and the unmanifested, the inconceivable, which is beyond the approach of the senses, as already expressed in this verse, should never be encouraged at any time. Especially in this age, it is not advised by Lord Krishna.
Yeah. So klesha adhikatarastesham. So Krishna is very clearly saying, and Prabhupada has written a huge purport, that those whose mind are attached to unmanifested, first to attach the mind to unmanifested itself is very tough. Prabhupada explains it, right? Now, the above verse is also very clear. He is now, unmanifested अव्यक्त को कैसे आसक्त करने का भाई, है ना? Especially Prabhupada is writing, है ना, ये Prabhupada is that we have a bodily conception of life, है ना? And a person in the bodily conception of life, for him to get attached to something which is no form is very difficult. It's very easy to get attached to some other form. Huh? So, uh, right now, in this world, people who are not attached to a deity are attached to some other form of this world. So, being attached to other form is easy for a people who believe that they are in the bodily conception of life. But to get attached to avyakta, unmanifested form, while being in a bodily conception, very difficult it is. The Prabhupada is explaining that, actually that's truth. You know, you even you worship the form, you offer the bhoga to the form, you clean him, you dress him. It's a very, it's a, you have, when you offer arti to the form of the lordships, you have understanding that is lotus feet, 4, 2, navel, 3 is lotus face, 7 to his whole body. Such a deep absorption is there over there. And each form and each part of the Lord's body, the limbs of each of his body is transcendental. So much glory is sung for each part of the glory of each limb of the Lord, beginning with the lotus feet of his. And we can remember, we get attached to it, we can attach ourselves, we can put a mind over there easily. We have like, we can understand, yeah, Lord has a leg, very good. It's easy. But his leg is transcendental. His feet is transcendental. His uh, his waist is transcendental. His chest is transcendental. His arms is transcendental. His neck is transcendental. His lips are transcendental. His eyes are transcendental. His forehead is transcendental. His face is transcendental. His hair is transcendental. Everything is transcendental. The flute he carries is transcendental. And we have understanding about it. We have read about these aspects. how they are transcendental. You go just go to the third canto. Such a beautiful explanation is there about each limb of the Lord, the smile of the Lord, the face of the Lord. Uh, so much is there. I know we have one Vaishnav song itself. Jai pada lagiya Shiva, Shivatvala bhilo. Right? Uh, so we have understanding about that. Such a beautiful explanations are given. It's very easy if somebody is actually worships the form of the Lord, the deity. Uh, whether you are the form of the Lord you are worshipping while you are in touch of the Shastras, you are hearing the glories of the Lord. Oh, it's so easy. So, so that's what has been said over here that these people who are worshipping, trying to attach their mind to Avyakta is very difficult, uh, especially while being in the bodily conception of life. So, for them, so understanding and realizing that they are different from the body is utmost important. So, and Prabhupada, then he explains about Archa Vigraha, very clearly he says about of all those things he says over here. The process becomes very easy in bhakti. That's why I'm saying the process may appear, bhakti appears to be very difficult. We say, na, Prabhupada says, chant, dance, and be happy. No, chant, yeah, chant, dance, and be happy, right? And we say, and hai, udhar yaad rakho. Yeah, but it's nothing in front of all other processes. You know? And bhakti creates only issues because of we having a nonsense mind and senses. That we have made it into nonsense. So, 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 and one thing is there too. Even if the process is difficult, it appears to be difficult, bhakti, or appears which is not at all difficult, and is it can be made very easy, even for whom it appears difficult because of their, struggle against their own mind and senses. Can become very easy if they associate with elevated devotees. Devotees who are superior in the consciousness to them. So whenever the association is said, is actually association is more about people who are superior to them in consciousness, not just in ears, I'm saying, in consciousness. So when we associate with superior devotees, when we hear from them, we open our mind to them, disclose our mind to them, and we serve them. Actually, that association very easily pull us from the, pull us from the fight against, to pull us from the platform of that we are fighting against our mind and senses with the bhakti, and makes us, relish bhakti, um, you know, and to uh, to its true nature. So this is Prabhupada is saying even an impersonalist can become a bhakta, if they associate with the word. Only, but problem is that even if they become later on, it's going to because those conceptions of impersonalism will haunt him. So that's what is over here, Krishna. No, so in this klesho adhikaras tesham, klesh hai, बहुत trouble hai, bhaiya. So those who are attached to the Atma encounters extreme difficulties in concentrating on invisible Atma, the super soul. Because it's very difficult to those who are embodied and those who have bodies, it's very difficult for them. So, over here, very beautifully, has been said, Prabhupada writes one verse of the Bhagavatam over here. Yat pada pankaja palasa vilasa bhaktya karmashayam gatitatam uttugrihanti santah tadvandikto tadvandikto matayopi siddha Shoto ganastam aranam bhaja vasudevam. So it's been said, this is Bhagavatam, fourth chapter, Yat pada pankaja palasa vilasa bhakti. Very much 22nd verse, 22nd chapter, fourth canto for 22nd chapter. We said there's those who are always engaged in the service of pada pankaja vilasa. जो पाद पंकज भगवान के पाद पंकज जो पलास, you know, those are always engaged in the service of the toe of the lotus feet of the Lord. पलास विलास भक्त्या, जो भक्ति में उसमें जो रहते हैं, कर्माशयम प्रतितम उद्ग्रहंती उद्ग्रहयंती संता, अरे वेरी इजली the hard knots of karma, fruitive activities, the desire of gratitam is opened. But tadvad narikto matayo piruddha. But it's very difficult for those who tadvad narikto matayo. To non-devotees, this jnani and yoga is very difficult. Because for them, an analogy is spoken of here, to stop the waves of sense gratification is very difficult for them. So, stopping the waves of sense gratification is like stopping the river. Now we have seen in Mahabharata, Bhishma stops the river flow, at one point. So that time he meets his father, Shantanu. So, can you imagine you have to stop the waves of the river? See, big dams are made. Big dams are made to stop the waves of the river, stop the flow of the river and they divert. So difficult it is. Controlling mind and senses through impersonalism path is like stopping that river. So it is very difficult. But through bhakti, it's very easy. You have to just engage your mind and senses in the service of the Lord. You don't have to neglect your mind and senses. So suppose you have to neglect seeing, मतलब क्या आंख बंद करके ही चलना पड़ेगा. You have to neglect your tongue. You have to neglect your hand and senses. You can't work. In bhakti we can sleep also. And we say, rest, Guruji, rest for better service. You can't do that, right? So, klesho adhikarastesham. Over here, so it's beautiful. That pada pankaj. And then he also, Prabhupada quotes, many, many shlokas over here. There is one more. Okay, I'll show you. These are a series of shlokas, actually. Very beautiful shlokas. You all can recite it with. This is 422, 39. And 422, 40 also we have to recite. I'll show you. Recite with me together. यत्पादपङ्कजपलास विलास भक्त्या कर्माशयं गतितनम् उद्गृह्णन्ति सन्तः तद्वन्नरिक्तो मतयोऽपि स्पृद्धा श्रोतो गणास्तमरणं भज वासुदेवम्. This I explained to you. Achha, read. One of you read the translation. Read.
The devotee who are always engaged in the service of the Lord, service of the toes to the lotus feet of the
Those who are always engaged in the service of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord can very easily overcome the hard-knotted desire for fruitive activities. Because this is very difficult. The non-devotees, the jnani yogis, all the trying to stop the waves of sense cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudev. Then he says, over here, see, Riksho Mahan Iha Bhavarnavam Aplavesham Sadvargana Nakaram असुखेन तितृषन्ति तत्त्वं हरेर् भगवतो भजनीयम् आग्रें कृत्वोदूपं व्यसनम् उत्तर दुष्टरानं. Read.
The
The
ocean
ocean
is very difficult to cross because it is infested with many dangerous sharks.
Although those who are non-devotees undergo severe austerities and penances to cross that ocean, we recommend that you simply take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are like boats for crossing the ocean. Although the ocean is difficult to cross, by taking shelter of his lotus feet, you will overcome all dangers.
So over here, the non-devotees are also considered to be, these people, impersonalists also, over here. It's very difficult, to the process of meditation to worship, to cross over. So, and meditate on unmanifested. The better is to accept the lotus feet of the Lord, take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, accept the form of the Lord, accept the lotus feet of the Lord, take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and cross. Just like a boat, Udupam. Uh, you just cross it. It's easy. So this process, that's why it becomes very easy. You know, but one is easy, those who take shelter. If you don't take shelter, it's going to be tough. So, and further, even the goal of impersonal Brahman, which is attained by such suffering, is attained only by having mixture with bhakti. Without bhakti to the Lord, the worshipper of the impersonal Brahman obtained only suffering, not Brahman also. So that's what been said in the 10th canto. तेषाम् असो क्लेश्ल एव शिष्यते नान्यद् यथस्थूल तुष्व अवगति. And a person is like, because if without devotion, even an impersonalist can't attain Brahman. Because why? Why the analogy has been spoken? Like somebody beats an empty husk of wheat. Will he get any grain? No. So one who simply speculates without bhakti, without even mixing bhakti, cannot achieve self-realization. His only gain is trouble. So in this verse, actually, Krishna is stating, actually, because Arjuna is asking, if the worshipper of Atma also attained you in the third and fourth verse, you said, what is the foundation for you saying that the devotees are superior attainers of you? No, this is the verse. Klesho adhikarastecham. My devotee, mind engaged in intense meditation, the Jivatma. Even the former categories of devotees also endure difficulty in withdrawing the senses from the object other than me and engaging in various sankas of bhakti. Because of the appearance of my blissful form, they do not experience the same suffering. This is Baldev Vidyabhushan. I want to show you. Wait. It is very important to show you this commentary. One of you read, over here, those whose mind is.
Those whose mind are engaged in intense meditation, samadhi, on Jivatma, very subtle in form, endure greater difficulties. Even though the former category of person, devotees, also endure difficulty in withdrawing the senses from objects other than me and engaging in the various angas of bhakti. Because of the appearance of my blissful form, they do not experience the same suffering. Why has this greater suffering, which is difficult to remove, come about? The mind's concentration on invisible Atma becomes difficult for those who think they are their bodies. How can those residing in bodies who for so long have been thinking they are their bodies cultivate thoughts of being a small conscious particle, which was for such a long time rejected? Others explain this section as follows. Brahman has two forms, with qualities and without qualities. Note the next section of summary of Shankara's explanation of those. Worship of the Lord with qualities is easily performed with attention because of having a form as an object of concentration. Worship of the Lord without qualities is difficult to perform and done without proper attention because of lack of an object. The Brahman without qualities is called Aksharam. For defining Brahman without qualities, seven descriptions are given. It is beyond the scope of Vedas or words. Anirdeshyam, because it is devoid of class and other qualifications. Avyaktam, it is pervasive. Sarvatragam, and not comprehended by the mind. Achintam, Shruti says, Yato vacho nirvantate apra, apraapya manasa saha. Words along with the mind return without attaining it. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.4.1. The world is called false, Kutam, since it appears real when it is actually illusory. The Atma is situated within this false world, Kuta
So,
Stam.
Yeah, so I don't know whether you are able to get it or not, but over here it is very clear that Brahman of Sagun and Nirgun is very difficult without qualities. So, and Prabhupada is explaining that, one of the Tattva operations says that words along with the mind returns without attaining it. Means what? Like, it's like suppose, suppose you throw the ball on the wall. You expect the ball to come back. If you throw the ball on the wall and the ball doesn't comes back, what will happen? So that's what is the kind of words. Even if you try to explain the impersonal with words and with the mind, you try to capture it or meditate on it, it will return back. Returns without attaining it. Nothing happens. कुछ नहीं होता उसका. Because you can't get it. Because your words can't approach. Because he is अव्यक्तम, अनिर्देशम, सर्वत्रगाम, अचिंत्यम. पहले से बोल दिया है. So, so this all goes on. And then, over here he says the first type of person. पढ़िए हमें.
The first type of person utilizing Brahman with qualities without undergoing these methods attains Vijnana from mercy of the Lord with qualities as described by Guru, which wipes out ignorance and its effects. He then attains liberation in the form of oneness with the Atma, devoid of quality, which gave rise to the Lord's form. The final result is the same, but one is filled with difficulty and therefore inferior, and the other he is without difficulty and superior. This idea is foolish because the Brahma Sutras reject the idea of Brahman having two forms with the words Gati Samanyat. Only one conception of Brahman is taught. Vedanta Sutra 1.1.10. The one Brahman
Yes,
is to be known. The
by
one
the
Brahman
Vedas.
is to be known by the Vedas. Yaya tad aksharam adigamyate. The indestructible, the akshara, is attained by that knowledge. Mundaka Upanishad 1.1.5. Thus, it is not ani- anirdesham is indescribable by the Vedas as interpreted by the impersonalist. Statements such as words cannot describe it, quoted above, apply to all aspects of Brahman, and thus there is no reason to assume two Brahmans, one of which with form can be approached by senses. The Brahman without qualities cannot be observed anywhere because it is impossible to prove the existence of Nirguna, since the word Nirguna without quality has no power to denote anything, and because it is consequently a useless term, and we must accept all that scriptures are meant to describe that Brahman. The word
So he no, he goes on. So okay, right. Read this since the Shrutis testify.
since the Shrutis justify that the form of Supreme Brahman, full of knowledge and bliss, is Krishna, who drinks the milk from the breast of Yashoda, the concoction of an aksharam devoid of all qualities, situated within the body of Krishna, must be considered a result of blind faith. It has no basis in proper reasoning or scriptural proof, therefore is rejected.
So Prabhupada, when say Krishna is saying man manavo man bhakto man jiva namaskaru. Prabhupada says these people what they say, they say over here, this is the concoction of aksharam devoid of qualities, situated within the body of Krishna is a blind faith. So they say, oh, Krishna is saying to to uh, pay obeisances to something which is within Krishna. What is within Krishna? Bhaiya? Akshara. So these people, and that they consider to be the essence. Like within the body, soul is the essence. So for them, within the body of Krishna, who appears to be doing lila, is the main aksharam. That's the main. That's what I said to some people. These are two types of Brahman worshippers. And that's what they do. It's all blind faith. There's nothing like that. And he's quoting so many shlokas over. So that's how actually he, is been said over here. So it's a bit of a technical presentation than over here, in terms of because it is straight defeating Mayavad and impersonalism. So it has to be done like this. That's why made you read these particular Baldev with emotions commentary. Yes, bro.
Prabhuji, can you mention again the context of words returning back without attaining anything?
Uh, yeah, because because it's achintaya. You can't think about it. You can't describe it. So you throw the word. It's like going in a vacuum. Nothing happens. You can't because that's what he said. How you will describe something which is indescribable? When we say about the Lord is transcendental, His limits, His unlimited glories. So, okay, but some glories we can know. You know, But over here, it's indescribable. You can't describe because he's unperceivable. Nobody has perceived it. So who will describe? The form of the Lord is perceived, by great acharyas. That's what they can describe, and we can read and understand, and we appreciate and we worship. And no, these fellows, no acharya have even because indescribable. So it's all just klesha adhikaraste. So it's all very troublesome. That's right. Okay.
Acha, that's why you said ki if we throw a ball to the wall, at least it come back with some reciprocation.
Hey, here, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. Yeah. Okay. Fine. We end over here.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai.